What's up, guys? We are back with another Star Wars Black Series review. We're taking a look at a figure that has kind of been absent from the line from the beginning. He's not a main character, but he's certainly one of those that you think of when it comes to A New Hope or just the good guys in general from the original trilogy. We're taking a look at Wedge Antilles today. So we've got this guy here in our standard Black Series packaging. Of course, he'd get the figure in the window. Artwork down there in the bottom, he's number 102, and then we've got that same artwork on the back, as well as a little bit of a write-up. So let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our, well, my long-awaited figure anyway, Wedge Antilles. So we finally have another member of, well, Rogue Squadron, another classic Star Wars pilot, and certainly one of the bigger non-main characters in the original trilogy. So I'm pretty happy to finally have this guy. Of course, I had no expectations that they were going to use a new body for this guy. We have an X-Wing suit already. They're going to give us that same body, despite the fact that Luke is not the same height as everybody else. But I can suspend disbelief enough just to have this figure. So let's take a look, see what this guy can do. He is, of course, really antiquated as far as articulation goes, but he does move around decently enough. So you've got a head that can look up, and he looks down. It's a disc hinge with a ball on the top. And then you've got rotation. Arms go out more than 90 degrees. Rotate at the shoulder. No bicep swivel, of course. You've got your single rotating elbow, and it gives you a little bit more than 90 degrees. You've got rotation and hinge at the wrists. They are a lateral hinge on this side, and then they are a vertical hinge on this side over here. So you've got the differing, especially it's good if you want to use that gun. You've got your diaphragm cut, so he goes backwards and forwards, a little bit side to side, and then you've got rotation there as well. Legs go out. They could probably go a little further than this, but you've got the little stirrups to deal with here, so you kind of have to move them up to get it to go out just a little bit further. The same with the kick, although it's not as bad, and then you can go backwards as well. He does have a thigh cut. Mine are both really tight, but they do move just fine. And then you've got your double jointed knees, which because of the bagginess of the pants, it is kind of hindered a little bit. You do have boot cuts on these guys. They are asymmetrical, so this one cuts higher than this one, but they do the same thing. And then you've got rocker, and you've got hinges down at those ankles. So he has exactly the articulation that you expect to get. Nothing too crazy, nothing too terrible, but nothing new in terms of what we've been seeing lately with other figures either. Now, as far as the overall look and feel on this guy, well, he looks and feels exactly like you expect he does. If you have any experience with X-Wing Luke, so going way back to original Wave 1 of the Black Series or Wave 1 of the Archive releases, you know what's going on here. It's the exact same figure from the neck down, which again, is not necessarily screen accurate, but it's not the biggest deal to me personally. I know some folks are not too happy with the fact that Wedge has the exact same body because they shouldn't have the same body. They should be a little bit different, especially in terms of height, but I'm not too beat up about that. It's not the end of the world to me, and when it comes to action figures, you know if they have the opportunity to reuse a body, they're going to do it, and if that's what it takes for me to get Wedge, then I'm not going to be too bent out of shape, really. I do, for the most part, like this body, though. I was always kind of a fan of that Luke to begin with. It never really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, despite the fact that it's really old in this line. I think it holds up pretty well. And this one does pretty much the same for me. It is realistically the exact same thing. The only thing that's really different is that the weathering on it is just not the same. It's a difference in paint applications, really. So kind of the dry brushing to make the X-Wing pilot suit a little worn and tattered and nasty. I do have what could be, I'm assuming it's a paint flub on this one. There's a little bit of missing blue on the control box here on his chest. I'm assuming that's not supposed to be the way that it is. I think it should be completely blue, so I'm not really sure, but it's also not a big deal. It makes him slightly different. One thing that is, of course, kind of funny here is that he does have the hook for a lightsaber on his belt because, of course, it's the same body. So you could give Wedge a unignited lightsaber if you so choose, just to do it, why not? But I do think that this body works pretty well. The only real thing that I don't particularly like about it are the arms. They are, and they have always been, really fat, and it's all about the joint and how it connects to these two particular pieces of plastic. So you've got the upper arm and the lower arm, and because of this joint, it just kind of makes it unnaturally bulbousy, and it just sort of bugs me. Otherwise, though, I think he looks pretty good. You do, of course, have to contend with some of the stuff for the suit because you've got the little dangly pieces that are down here for like the harness that hangs down. So it does hinder articulation, but it looks good. And I've always had Luke just sort of standing on the shelf holding his helmet, and I think he looks fine that way, and I think Wedge will be a good figure to accompany him. Beyond that, though, the paint applications on this guy, outside of the fact that they are slightly different just because it's a different figure, are very reminiscent of Luke, and they do look really good. The silver pops for the cylinders over here. You've got this stark white that does have some kind of gunk and dry brushing in it on the front and the backside just to make it look old and worn because it's rebellion stuff. And then you've got the canisters down here on the boot to give it that kind of asymmetrical look, which I like. It changes him up just a little bit. But he is, of course, a very, very familiar figure until you get above the neck. And I would wager a guess that what's going on above the neck is, of course, the main reason why a lot of folks are interested in this figure, because, well, frankly, if this was an older figure in the line, he would not look very good. And I do think that they've done a pretty good job here. It might need a little bit more paint, really, just to kind of take away some of the sheen on that face, which is unfortunately kind of a thing with the heads nowadays. But that definitely is Dennis Lawson's likeness there, and I think they captured it pretty well. This is very much a younger Dennis Lawson. I'm happy with it. I think the photoreal is applied nicely. The eyes are clean and crisp. Eyebrows are really straight. Everything about it just looks like, him from A New Hope, and I'm really happy with it. There's not a great deal to gripe about for me. Outside of this slight glossy tones on the flesh, the rest of it is rock solid, and I can definitely see him there, and he's going to look great next to my Luke. Now, as far as accessories goes, this guy is right up there with that original Luke, save for, of course, the lightsaber. So the big accessory that he comes with is his removable helmet. You just pop this thing on and off and put the strap underneath the chin, and it looks really good. There is a ton of tampo work on here, a ton of nasty dry brushing to make it, again, just like the suit, look like some old nasty rebellion stuff that has been used and abused, and I think it looks good. I've been a big fan of Luke's helmet. I like the fact that it's easily something that you can put on the head, take off without really any fear of hurting the head sculpt, or it's something you can have him hold in his hand and just kind of have him like walking to his X-Wing or just standing there or in the heat of battle or something like that. So I think it looks great. Paint on it is good. Dig the translucent, goggles there, and the strap works really well to hold it in place. It's certainly not going anywhere once you've got it on his head. And then, of course, he does, of course, come with a weapon. I don't know that you actually see any indication that he comes with this in the movie that I can recall, but he does have a Rebel-style blaster. So you've got one of these guns. Of course, the original Luke figure came with a more Han-style blaster. We didn't have this gun until a ways out, but you've got a Rebel-style blaster that we've seen a number of times at this point. Black plastic with a little bit of silver paint at the end there. So overall, this is a pretty solid figure. Of course, he is a tremendous amount of parts reuse, but at the end of the day, I never expected otherwise, so I'm not really beat up about it. I wish he had his own unique body, but I know in the current toy landscape, that's really not ever going to happen. He does, however, look really good. I think that they captured the likeness quite well. Paint is solid, the helmet looks really good, and he just works, and I'm happy to have him alongside that X-Wing Luke. I'm hoping that we can get a few more. I would love to get a Biggs. I'd love to get, like Gold Leader, give me Dutch, stuff like that. I'd love to be able to flesh out that original trench run quite well, and I don't know that it's ever going to happen, but I'm certainly all for it. I don't know that this guy is going to be maybe as important to a lot of folks as he is to me, but Wedge has always been a big Star Wars thing for me just because of his presence in all three original movies and then his presence in the expanded universe back in, pre-Disney era. So this is definitely one that I'm glad to finally tick off the list. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars Black Series Wedge Antilles. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.